So there's this guy on Reddit. He posts specifically on the Indian street bet subreddit. His strategy is super simple. He's been doing it for the past 2 years. Every single time the Nifty drops exactly 1% from its all time high, he buys the dip. He drops a fixed 1 lakh rupees into index funds. Half the comments under his post were asking, Bhai, इतने पैसे कहाँ से आ रहे हैं? The other half was fiercely debating, is his style of lump sums actually better than the monthly SIP? I had the same doubt. Normally, I would think about it for a minute and then just go back to scrolling. But that night, I couldn't let it go. I really thought to myself, what does the data actually say? I spent the next 3 weeks finding out. I pulled 11 years of actual Nifty data, that is over 2,800 trading days, built a custom simulator, and tested 3 different versions of this strategy. The answer was really not what I expected, and honestly, it's probably not what you expect either. Hi, I'm Arunima, and you're watching How Bizarre. Let's begin. Okay, so every stock market groups argues about 3 things: how to buy the dip, how to buy the actual dip, and how to buy the dip of the dippity dip dip. There are basically 2 teams in this debate: Team SIP and Team Lump Sum. Team SIP says you should automate it and just forget about it. Rupee cost averaging will take care of everything, you don't even have to think, just invest. Team Lump Sum says timing is everything. Keep your cash ready, buy the dips, maximize your units at the lowest possible price. Now, both these teams sound incredibly smart, I'm not gonna lie, but they also have huge flaws. Let's first look at lump sum. The flaw in this school of thought is pretty obvious. You have to know which dip is the actual dip and how long it will dip. The market can stay expensive for years. So, by that logic, you're sitting on your cash doing absolutely nothing. Then you finally buy a 10% dip and the market drops another 20%. Suddenly you panic, you sell, and you lock in your losses. It's like catching a falling knife. अब आते हैं SIP में. Here the flaw in their school of thought is a little bit more tricky. In a long bull run, your average cost keeps going up every single month. When a real 30% crash finally hits, your 10,000 rupee SIP is too small to take advantage of it. You need a solid lakh right then. But you already spent it in small chunks on the way up. दोनों strategies में कुछ ना कुछ तो छूट जाता है. So I looked to see if there was a better way. I wanted to build the ultimate hybrid model. Before we test any complex strategies, we need a baseline. We need to know what happens if you do the most boring thing possible first. So here is our testing ground. We take 10,000 rupees a month. We run it for 11 years from January 2015 to April 2026. So that means a total out-of-pocket investment of 13.6 lakh rupees. In our baseline strategy, 100% of this money goes into regular Nifty 50 SIP. It buys every single month, completely blindly. It doesn't care if the market was at an all-time high, it doesn't care if there was a global pandemic, it just buys. Simple rule. Now, here are the exact numbers. Final corpus came to about 25.8 lakh rupees, and that's an XIRR of 10.77%. Now, target samajh liya, this is what we need to beat. To beat this, we have to build a system that keeps us in the market during the bull runs but holds enough cash to buy the heavy dips. So for that, we split the money. 90% of our monthly investment budget goes into the regular Nifty SIP. The balance 10% goes into liquid mutual fund, where it earns around 7% a year. This is our ammo, this is our war chest. Now I started by testing that exact Reddit user strategy. It's called the 1% ladder. The rule is pretty simple. For every 1% the market falls from its peak, you deploy 10% of your remaining cash from the liquid fund into the market. And what if the market falls, recovers a bit and then falls again? Well, you buy again. You're constantly hunting for minor discounts. Now this sounds brilliant, but mathematically it has a fatal flaw. Let me explain. It suffers from something called capital exhaustion. Think about how it actually plays out. If you deploy 10% of your cash at a 1% dip, then another 10% at a 2% dip, your cash pot is bleeding. By the time the market hits a deep, terrifying 10% crash, you don't even have 100% of your cash left. You only have around 34% of your original cash remaining. So basically, you've run out of bullets before the real war even started. And over 11 years, this strategy fired an insane 614 times. So let's compare it to our baseline. This model actually came very close. The hybrid model had a corpus of 25.75 lakh rupees and a pure SIP was at 25.76 lakh rupees. So that means the hybrid version lost to a pure play SIP strategy by 1400 rupees. But it failed because of where the cash went. 58% of all the cash deployed went into minor dips between 1% and 5%. By the time a real 20% crash hit, the cash pot was dry. Basically, जहाँ पे आपको बजूका चाहिए था, वहाँ पे आपके पास कुछ नहीं था. To fix capital exhaustion, we basically have to stop buying those minor dips. We have to wait for a real market crash. I looked at the raw data to see how often the market actually crashes. In about 11 years, which is out of those 2800 plus trading days, the market actually spent 649 days just around 2% of its peak. ऐसे तो the market goes down 0.5% every other session. So what do we want? We want those real 10 to 20% crashes. So, in 2800 trading days, the market fell more than 10% exactly 8 times, it fell 20% only twice, and it fell 30% only once. That was March 2020 when the COVID collapse happened. That's just the reality of the stock market. They're just a handful of big real crashes. So, I built strategy 3, which is the crash hunter. Here we ignored the noise completely. A 5% dip gets a small 10% bite of our cash, a 15% crash gets 30% of the reserve, and a 30% collapse gets the maximum firepower, 60% of whatever cash is left. This version only fired 22 times in 11 years, and its biggest move was epic. On March 18th, 2020, the Nifty was down 31.5% from its all-time high. The strategy fired its maximum payload then. It dumped the cash at the absolute bottom. The units that were bought that day are now worth nearly 3 times as much. And ये सब कहना आसान है while you're backtesting it. In real time, you don't even know if you're at the real bottom or if it's just the top of the next bottom. And इतनी सारी मेहनत के बाद भी, the SIP was still the winner. The simple, boring, blind monthly investment beat every single complex algorithm I could build. Even the crash hunter lost by 8,000 rupees in hybrid mode and a massive 80,000 rupees in the cash only mode. And why is that? Because of one single number, 3.8%. Over those 11 years, the Nifty compounded at roughly 10.8% a year. The liquid funds holding our cash reserve returned about 7%. That gap, that 3.8%, that is the silent killer. That red zone is the cost of waiting. So every single month your cash is waiting on the sidelines, waiting for a crash to be a hero, but then it kind of falls behind because of the return rate. So these strategies weren't broken. They were just facing a very structural, fundamental obstacle. That too in a market that historically goes up. So in fact, over those 2800 days, the Nifty hit a brand new all-time high on nearly 20% of all trading sessions. 1 in every 5 days was a peak. Now, if you look at a secular bull market like in India, the market goes up way more often than it goes down. So when you end up holding cash, it's basically a mathematical bet against the upward trajectory of the economy. I guess that's why they say that time in the market actually beats timing the market. But here's a catch, and it's kind of a big one. Backtests assume that you're a robo. They assume you feel absolutely nothing and you chilled out when your portfolio is actually going down by 38% in 6 weeks during, let's say, a global pandemic. And they're also assuming that your auto debit fires flawlessly, seamlessly when the entire world around you is shutting down. Real data actually shows something completely different. After the March 2020 crash, equity mutual funds saw outflows for 8 straight months. Human beings were panicking left, right and center. They actually stopped their SIPs. They just locked in their losses. जो बहुत dedicatedly SIP करते रहे during the market crash also, वो eventually winner निकले. लेकिन कितने लोग ये actually कर पाए? That is where the math meets reality. An investor who panics and stops their SIP doesn't get that 10.8% return. They just get decimated. But what about that person holding that 10% as cash reserve? When the market crashed 30%, he or she didn't panic. There was a mathematical plan in place. They were aggressively buying while everyone else was screaming to sell. And for example, that's exactly what the Parag Parikh team does. Recently, they've been sitting on significant cash levels. Sometimes it just goes up to 15-20%. People on Twitter are not happy. They're screaming about underperformance. But Think about it. Fund managers aren't timing the market for fun. They're waiting for very specific valuation triggers. In fact, I made a very detailed video on this over here, so check it out. And you can also click on the I button to watch the entire deep dive there. So, the Reddit guy's execution might have been mathematically flawed, but psychologically, that takes real mental strength. He had the Parag Parikh mentality on a retail scale and probably a huge cash reserve like PPFAS to fund his buying store. So, what is the actual concrete takeaway? Well, there's a bit of a logical paradox. I just spent 10 minutes proving to you that holding cash to buy the dip loses you money. I can't just sit here and tell you to build a cash watches just to feel good. That kind of goes against the math. So, do you hoard cash or do you do an SIP? The answer is you just stop treating them like enemies. You stop trying to time the market and start using asset allocation properly. If you're a robo, please go 100% SIP. But if you're human, instead of trying to hoard cash specifically for a dip, just maintain a standard asset allocation. Maybe your portfolio is 80% equity and 20% debt. That 20% debt is your emergency fund or your safety net. It's sitting very safely in those liquid assets. If a 20% COVID style crash happens, the value of your equity portfolio will shrink pretty quickly and pretty violently. And suddenly, without you doing anything, your portfolio is unbalanced. You might now be 70% equity and 30% debt. You're overweight in safe money. In which case, what do? Here, you don't just have to catch the falling knife. You don't just have to try to guess the absolute bottom. You can try rebalancing. You can just move a calculated portion of that safe debt back into the equity market simply to maintain that 80-20 ratio. So here what you're doing is you get the thrill of buying the dip when the market is cheap, but you're doing it with institutional level discipline. It's not just guesswork. You see the dip and you're actually deploying it for rebalancing purposes as well, not just to time the market. Let's go back to that Reddit user. His instinct was right. Buying the dip feels great, but waiting for the perfect entry, that's not a strategy. It's just wishful thinking. You don't just need to perfectly time the market. You just need to stay in it. Keep running your monthly SIP and running it on autopilot. That is your engine of wealth. Then, parallel, let your debt portfolio act as a safety net. When the real crash comes, you can use it to restore the balance. I know several experts who have actually done this and they bought the dip, so they have gotten accelerated returns, but it's also very case-to-case basis about what their entry point was and what the actual dip was at that point in time. So there'll be a lot of people on the internet saying a lot of things, but this strategy could prove prudent. Essentially what I'm trying to say is boring strategy, boring execution, but boring is finally what builds wealth. One final thought before I go. When every top stock market expert says boring is best, why are we still so desperate to be smarter than the market? That's all for today. This is Arunima Rao signing off. Until next time, stay curious.